Welcome back to another episode of Tech Times Daily, where we dive into the world of tech and everything related. I'm your host for today, Chris Short, and joining me as always is the unfathomable Christian Tejedes. Christian, what's up, man? How's it going?
Doing good. How are you? How's everyone?
Everything's good over here, man. We got some I know we've been trying to, limit ourselves on AI topics, right? But AI is at the top of everyone's mind, these days. It's AI, AI is everywhere. But
Yeah,
honestly, in the world of tech, if it's not AI, if it's not Zuckerberg, not even Zuckerberg, really, if it's not Meta or AI, then it's got to be Elon, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty much the dictator of the world.
yeah, that's pretty much the trifecta of tech topics, or Apple, of course. Like we touched on a little bit yesterday with the new mystery product coming from Johnny Ives. Um, but today we have a really interesting topic that I think touches on quite a few different things, right? Like, of course, Elon, but not only Elon, but the the recurring plot, I would say, to the last few years, which is conspiracies and their abundance online. So recently, I'll jump into the article for a second, by Eno Flores. And guys, as always, if you want to read more on this, you can find these on the Tech Times website, of course. But Elon Musk's deposition reveals admission of financial impact on Twitter.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's a deposition that apparently he wasn't very keen on being made public. So, that's a recipe for an interesting discussion. Um, so it says Elon Musk's admission sheds light on the potential repercussions of his social media activity. Um, Elon Musk's admission sheds light, like I said, on his activity, indicating a significant shift in his stance regarding the impact of his posts. The deposition provides insights into his acknowledgement of the consequences of his actions. Um, in a March 27th deposition, uh, Musk acknowledged the financial ramifications, and he conceded to possessing a limited understanding of the ongoing lawsuit, prompting his deposition. So the lawsuit is Ben Brody, who's 22. He filed a defamation lawsuit against Elon, claiming that he propagated a conspiracy theory that wrongly implicated Brody in a confrontation between two far-right factions in Oregon. Despite Musk's legal team's attempts to shield the transcript of his nearly 2-hour deposition for public view, the judge has actually released it. Uh, um, so we're going to get into this a little bit. During
Yeah.
questioning by Brody's attorney, Mark Bankston, Musk was asked about his acquisition of Twitter and its influence on his activity on the platform. Musk asserted that he perceived his post to have remained consistent before and after the acquisition. However, he conceded that this stance might have ultimately negatively affected the platform. Um, so we got some things here I want to ask you about first. So first, the propagation of conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Um, do you think if Elon Musk was not Elon Musk, he would have been sued by this? If it would have been you or I that had, mentioned something about this kid. Oh, I'm sorry, I completely left out the part of what he said. He was deposed over allegedly promoting a false conspiracy theory that a 22-year-old Jewish man participated in a neo-Nazi brawl.
Hmm.
Right. So he made a post on Twitter, his post, and I did some research on this. The original tweet is not up anymore, but this reply is still there, and he replied, "There's some
Can you
risk that
repeat
what
that
I
again? A
say."
neo-Nazi Jewish man?
Yeah, yeah. Or a 22-year-old Jewish man participated in a neo-Nazi brawl.
So the
Yeah,
Jewish man is a neo-Nazi, by the way.
apparently that was kind
Okay,
of
so
whether or not Musk knew that he was Jewish, I don't know. Um, but so his tweet said, as he retweeted, he posted, "There's some risk that what I say is incorrect, but one has to balance that against having a chilling effect on free speech in general, which would undermine the entire foundation of our." Oh, I'm sorry, that was during the deposition. Here's what I wanted to find. So on the post on Twitter, he said it looks like one is a college student who wants to join the government, and another is maybe an Antifa member, but nonetheless a probable false flag situation. Now, apparently, this Brody kid said that he and his family were forced to flee their home after Musk's post, and he's seeking more than 1 million in damages. Now, if you or I were to say some off the wall shit on Twitter, I guess first, you or I would not, our followers probably wouldn't harass somebody, right? Like Musk has, millions of followers or whatever it may be. But do you think this is oh, I don't want to call it a cash grab, but I mean,
that's the thing. Different statuses of people. There are different treatments. If you have 1 million followers on your Twitter, you're best known as someone who's actually influential, and anything you say will influence a lot of people. We do understand that I'm throwing this number or pulling this number out of my ass here, but it possibly 98% of those followers wouldn't even care about what Musk actually thinks. But the remaining 2% are the crazies. So
right. I mean, yeah, but I mean, where does this tie in with an influencer's responsibility? Like it's the same with Trump and the January 6th thing, right? Like again, just so happens to be on social media that they claim this violence was incited. Elon Musk on social media, he said something, people took it a certain way and did some things, some very terrible things apparently to this young man. Um, but how responsible are these people for what you post on social media? Like,
yeah, the thing with these,
and where does
so
premeditation fall into this, right? Like if it was done with the intention of inciting violence, of course, then yeah, that's terrible. But if you just say something and then people are like, "Oh, I agree," and now I'm pissed off and I want to break something, like I didn't tell you to break anything.
yeah, sometimes Elon Musk acts like his words actually don't mean anything. Like he thinks he's the common man, but in reality, he's a billionaire. Like how much of my statement could actually carry weight if I tell you that I know how it feels to walk in his shoes?
Right.
Like say, sometimes they forget that there are different standards for them, and the amount of weight that their words actually have is actually different from you and I. Like I don't have that many followers.
Hmm.
So possibly, if you think about it, if I made a statement or claim about it, I would possibly be ignored, or my tweet could be retweeted, and I could be lambasted. But for someone this influential, because basically, in my sense, follower count could be counted for you as a vote of confidence. These people actually thought about thinking or following you based on the amount of weight they place on your thoughts and words. They're following you for a reason. They want to know your opinions. They want to know what you're doing, even what you're eating for the day. So,
Right. Well, okay. You make a really good point that, your amount of followers could potentially be, you know, um, interpreted as, that's kind of your stature, right? On this site. Like I have, 5 million followers. That means I'm stronger than somebody with 2 million, right? You just
yeah,
are.
And his movements regarding how he handles public life has always been a mystery to me. Like it seems like he's a stranger to the fact that he has a board of directors that he still has to answer to. He has sponsorships. There is money involved regarding whatever he says and whatever his actions are. Even if we joke around whether Twitter is actually gaining money or not, he still has other businesses that will be affected just because they're tied to his name.
Yes,
Doing
but
something as stupid as a claim regarding a brawl with neo Nazis. When was this actually posted, by the way? I failed to catch that part.
I looked for it online. It's not there anymore. It's been deleted. His retweet reply remains up, but the original post is no longer there. But I mean, like, so I wanna kind of give you like a correlation, right? So Elon says something on Twitter, and people go bananas and make life hell for this kid and his family, right? We can blame Elon, but do we also blame GTA for crime?
Like in terms of GTA, the video game,
Yeah, like video games in
basic,
general.
yeah, in basic common sense, we know that GTA is actually fiction, but Elon's a real person.
Yeah, but it's not. But he did not. But GTA, I go as far as to say, promotes violence. Right? It's what the game is. Like you speed, you rob, you murder,
Yeah,
you you
it
do all
promotes
these
violence,
things.
but it runs on a certain script on how the violence is actually executed. Like people who actually play these
Right? But
games
what? But,
understand.
but what?
I know there are
But what?
exceptions to the rule regarding this. Like there are crazies in the world that actually take this as a Bible. But then again, Elon Musk should be well aware that he's not actually one of these people that actually can be ignored.
Right? But Rockstar could in this, if we're looking at Musk being deposed and sued for, and it wasn't even a direct tweet like this guy is doing this. It was a maybe this is happening and people took it the wrong way. So my question is, why is Musk held, and Trump as well, and anyone else really that incites or is has been accused of inciting violence, albeit indirectly or maybe not even, misconstrued or whatever the case may be. How are they any different than, Rockstar that puts out a murdering game? You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, like you were talking about the 2%,
Yeah,
98% of the people that play GTA know, but then there's 2% that maybe don't.
yeah,
So like my
I
question
would
is like,
concede
what's
that.
the difference? Is it
The difference
because
is,
you can target on one guy, or because of
in a
their
sense,
personal stature?
you can target one guy, but let's look at this way. Basically, Twitter is actually a training ground for making a cult.
Okay.
So
A lot
being
of cults, I'm
used,
sure, have stemmed from
oh,
Twitter.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone members of cults here, raise your hand. So, uh, yeah. So having one guy being the head of those million followers in his own cult, because some people see there are sycophants in the world that see these people like Trump and Elon Musk. Let's go to the other side of the aisle. Obama. Some view their opinions, their points as gospel. So if one person actually believes that Musk, he couldn't lie to me. He's the cult leader. We follow him. So
Right.
that's the 2%. The 98% may be the curious ones. But then again, how do you bring people into cults? Curiosity.
Right.
So that's how the circle goes.
Yeah. You're
Now,
right. You're absolutely right.
the major discussion is this: can we still consider Elon Musk a businessman?
Well, I think that's also an important part of this. Like, and this is kind of the verbiage that people in his position use sometimes to avoid blame or responsibilities. I was speaking in my personal capacity, not as CEO of this company. Right? Politicians
What
do it all the time.
what does that even mean?
It
Personal
don't mean shit.
capacity.
It doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean it's verbiage. It's a workaround
Is
to
that
try
a
to say,
simple? Is that a political term saying I'm just this dumb? That's why I spoke this. This is
it's
the
like,
level of my
whoops.
intellect. This
Yeah.
is what I can actually do with what I
Yeah.
have. Like,
It's like saying the real me's stupid, but the professional me's great. And this one other thing I want to touch on uh is the minus, Musk or Brody or Twitter or all that. The fact that the word conspiracy theory is thrown around so much these days, since I would have to go back as far as, I guess, 2016 maybe would be. I mean, I guess you go further back if you want to talk about the Clinton body count and all that stuff. Or, I mean, JFK, hell. We can go way back. Conspiracy theories have always been around. But they're a conspiracy theory. I feel like nowadays the words get attached to certain ideas that the majority don't want to believe, right? Now, a lot of these conspiracy theories over the last 4 years have proven not to be conspiracies. They've been fact.
yeah, there are certain degrees to these conspiracy theories that, when you think about it, I usually think of these as plausible possibilities. Like,
Right.
if this person you have a theory regarding, let's say Hillary Clinton or something that you think she did, if she is in the position of power that it's actually possible for her to actually achieve what you say she is doing, then it's completely plausible that theory is true. But if something is really fantastical within a conspiracy theory, I think that's where I draw the line.
Well, okay. Well, define. Let's say it was a long time. It's been a long time believed that UFOs and um UAE, what are they called? Unidentified aerial, no, UAPs have been conspiracies, right? They've been things of the fringe. Well, in the
Yeah,
last few years, we've learned from Congress, from a number of whistleblowers, that UAPs, formerly known as UFOs, are 100% real.
yeah. I think we've
So
had this discussion before
we have, but
regarding how
my
I feel regarding that.
point is when someone wants to discredit a theory or discredit even a person, whether or not um the 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 Hunter Biden laptop, right? Conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory, conspiracy theory. No, it was real. So as soon as someone wants to discredit an idea, a theory, or a person, they immediately throw this term at them. Oh, he's a conspiracy theorist, and most other people say, then he's crazy. But
Yeah, regarding the entire Hunter Biden thing, this is where where I say plausibility actually falls into, because Hunter Biden is such an F up, it's impossible for it to not be true. So
yeah,
there is that chance. There's a chance for it. Like the entire aliens thing, you know my stake in this. Like, I am not an expert enough to actually pass judgment on it. I am someone who's open to the idea, but until I actually see it, that's when I can actually just voice my opinion. But in terms of me, knowing there's life outside this planet, I'm not an expert enough. I haven't been out into outer space to
I
actually
know.
make a judgment on whether there's going to be life. I leave it up to the experts. If they present me something with life, then go ahead. There is life outer space. But for now, I'm just a very curious observer for this is how it's going on. That's how I treat conspiracy theories like these. If it's
Yeah,
plausible, like in the case of Hunter Biden, based on his personalities, that's how I gauge it. Based on the personalities of the people that the theories are actually tied to. Like, you can see him actually be this guy and be able to carry and stupid enough to keep things in his laptop like this.
right,
I can see the things that Trump is being accused of, because it's based on his personality and what was based on his history.
right.
So, and Elon Musk is actually, Elon Musk case for me is actually weird, because everything has been on full display for the past couple of years now. That's why it's weird that we're still having these news regarding whether his businesses are experiencing financial issues. Like it's evident in the world that he's been experiencing a lot of competition lately, whether it be Tesla, whether it be SpaceX. A bad press like this regarding a bad tweet doesn't surprise me. It would affect any financial gain that he has to receive just because he just sent out a bad tweet.
Right.
What's even more surprising to me is he wasn't actually cognizant enough that anything he says can be used against him.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's kind of the thing is that's kind of the route we're going down is where it's like we're living in a world of Miranda rights. Like anything you say can and will be used against you.
It's 24
And
7.
and we have to acknowledge that free speech verbally, especially if it's not recorded, you know, that's one thing, right? But free speech in text, where what I say 99, unless we're here, 99% of the time, the words I say reach a maximum of 5 or 6 people. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But if I'm tweeting and then it's there to be shared, to be echoed, to be amplified, then who knows the reach, right? So there has to be an understanding of yes, the freedom of speech is important.
Yeah. And
But
going back, yeah, go ahead.
but I mean, when it's permanent on the internet, then that one little freedom of speech you had and that thing that you said becomes, I mean, it's echoed for however long. For I mean, if it's never deleted, it's there forever.
Yeah. And going back to the article regarding this Brody guy, I don't know enough to make a judgment. That's why when you ask me, is this a cash grab? It's hard for me to say because, for one, they released a deposition. They did release a deposition, right?
Hmm. Yeah. The,
So
the
what did
the
they
hearing
find out?
is
Yeah, what did they find out during discovery for this to be released?
I think just the fact that Elon wanted it to be suppressed. His legal team didn't want it to be out, and the judge was like, "No, this is coming out." And the
Like,
the court is the hearing is scheduled for April 22, apparently. So
hmm,
more to follow.
yeah, we all know what it means when someone wants something to be suppressed, right?
I mean, also, it's 2024 and a defamation lawsuit of just $1 million. Like, it's just $1 million. Like, it's not. That's pocket change these days for a defamation lawsuit. 1 million. Was this 1983?
It was equally surprising to me. Usually, these cases are actually settled before it actually reaches the press.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
it's
if you're
just a
if you're
million,
if you're suing for 1 million, you'll settle for 750,000, right?
do people not know how to say sorry anymore? Do
People know how to
people
say sorry.
not
Nobody
know
knows
how to
how to.
apologize? Like they
Nope.
do know they can actually change, right?
I think I think we still remember how to say sorry. I think people have forgotten how to accept an apology.
Yeah, I would concede to that. Like that is the other side of the coin.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sorry I did that. Well, that's too bad. Now you're going to pay. I want you to lose your career. I want you to lose your friends. I want you to lose your credibility. I want you to
Yeah,
lose. And it's just like, I made a mistake, bro. My bad.
yeah, and that's the one thing with social media that actually I think was a detriment to humanity. Like social media actually provided us the opportunity to extend our pride
Yeah.
when it comes to arguments and claims. Like if we made a mistake, no, social media can actually vindicate me if I just fight back. No, if
Yeah.
you're wrong,
No.
you're wrong. So
Yeah. A lot of times it doesn't matter if you're right. If you make, I'm not going down this road, but there's certain scientific facts that are not acceptable in today's society. Therefore, no amount of knowledge or credibility can save you if you say the wrong thing.
Yeah. Keyboard is such a weapon for everyone that's actually available for you anywhere.
It's absolutely ridiculous. But I just want to finish up on well, I want your quick thought on this. So it's related to Elon and all his glory. Speaking of settlements, Tesla did settle Tesla. Now this is Tesla. Of course, I know
Yeah.
we always link Elon. He's the mascot, the figurehead, but obviously, these are entities that kind of run themselves minus him. Tesla did settle the autopilot crash that killed Walter Huang in 2018.
Hmm.
Uh, and they settled out of court, and it's for an undisclosed amount. Now,
See, they can't do things properly when they want to.
right. I want to know how much you think was paid.
This is basically just me, you asking me how much is a life, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, how much does Tesla think a life is? Or how much does the family of this guy feel? How much do they feel is adequate?
I figured the court would actually make it a bit more even, but this is the court we're talking about. So,
Yeah,
and a billionaire actually at the other end. It wouldn't be less than 1 million. I don't think it would.
I don't think so either. And
It
one
wouldn't.
more question, then we'll wrap it up. How do you think this will spur
But then again, I
future
have to
lawsuits?
clarify myself with that one. This doesn't mean that I think that the worth of the man is actually just
Right, right, right,
numerical
right,
value. This just means that it's a life settlement.
right. I mean, yeah, it's a monetary. It's in dollars.
I
So
feel like I have to say that
right,
nowadays.
right, right. Yeah, you probably should. Yeah, you're right. But I mean, does this send a message to attorneys and things that Tesla's open to settling? Like this could be, you know what I mean? If Tesla had been like, no, we're taking this to court, like we're going to fight this because whatever reason, then lawyers be like, I'm not, you go up against Tesla, you're going to have to go to court. But now they're settling.
Yeah, in the age of
Like
where
it's like
everything can be used against you, everything is online. You have to prepare yourself to actually settle
right.
these things. So,
It's like blood in the water though for the proverbial sharks.
and it's such a public company right now. Like
Mm.
everyone knows their name. Like, do we know of one brand in the world, known worldwide, that doesn't have any issues, that hasn't settled yet in anything in court?
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's a few, I'm sure like Oral B hasn't killed anyone. You know what I mean? But like,
Unless they're in prison.
yeah, yeah, well, yeah, fair enough, yeah. But I mean, if we're gonna talk about uh criminal liability and lawsuits and things, we could go into a deep dive on pharmaceutical companies, which is a completely and that also is could be considered conspiracy theories type stuff, but yeah, we're not going to dive into that. Let us know in the comments if we
Yeah.
should talk about
Eh, my
pharmacy.
last say in this is that I find it fascinating that the one that they wanted to suppress regarding the deposition is Musk finally realizing the consequences of his actions.
Well, yeah, you know,
The most important trait that he needs, and everyone I think would have empathy on, is the one that they wanted to suppress. Let that
right,
sink in.
right. And I do believe that he's calculating and he sees that as like when he tweeted about Twitter and it dropped the value before he bought it and they sued him for trying to manipulate the value of the company before purchase. I think that's what he's worried about. Is now future endeavors, like even if he sends a tweet and something happens in a stock,
Yeah.
and he's directly related to that company or something, he could be held liable, right? Like that's kind of he's admitting that it's possible for that to happen. So I think that's why he didn't want it to come out because that sets him up in the future for like if you're in negotiations to acquire a company, then Elon, you can't tweet for the next 6 months. Like his head may explode.
Yeah, usually you have PR persons for these kinds of things.
Right. Yeah. Well, which is actually probably a good idea. But again, I mean, is that limiting the free speech that he's fighting so hard for? Like, you can't say what you want to say. You can't. You just can't. There's repercussions. And
Yeah,
his just happened to be, you know, very large.
and he also has to consider that although he's a billionaire, his employees are not.
Right. True.
So his businesses, the downfall in his businesses would actually affect employees. That's why we've seen a lot of these tech companies, although we see them on the outside as being profitable, there have been job cuts.
Well, that comes again with AI automation, like, yeah. Um,
And it's
increased
not,
competition.
yeah. But then again, there are some cases where it is not. So
Right. Very true. Very true. Downsizing is a problem in the tech industry for sure. I think it's an oversaturation, and but nonetheless, I don't want to stream into another topic before we let's go ahead and finish up
leave
today.
it for another day.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that wraps it up for today's edition of Tech Times Daily. Again, tune in tomorrow for more updates and insightful discussions on the latest in tech. Until then, stay curious and stay connected. I'm Chris Short for Christian Tajeres. See you next time.